Welcome to the inaugural episode of Crypto Posse. We're going to talk all things crypto. So anyway, why don't we, from what's going on recently, it seems like everything's very affected by our second-term president, Donald Trump. Really, a lot of moves he's made has just really affected all markets, as would be natural, really. But let's just start with the start. Where did that start, Will?
That's a good question. I mean, if we were to back engineer that from where we're currently sitting in the markets, it would go all the way back to when we all found out that we were going to get another term from President Trump. And from that point forward, we've seen it on the charts, the reaction from the market and the power that he really does hold in influencing the markets with tweets that we recently experienced. But going back to the beginning, it really was when we found out that he was going to be the president, we saw the pump, and then leading into the inauguration on January 20th, that's when we saw the all-time high.
Jeff, where did you see the first effect? Was that right there in the inaugural? When was it?
Yeah, that was the 20th because I believe Bitcoin hit 108. And I really noticed it on the 5th when
Fifth of what? The 5th
the
of
5th
what?
of November.
Okay, so when you say the 20th, you're talking about the 20th of January, but you're saying you feel the first effect showed up around November 5th due directly to his being elected, right?
Well, basically, a lot of the other coins like Dogecoin went crazy for that month, and then meme coins. I mean, Pepe went up. XRP was the last to go up through that month. So that was where I just noticed, the whole market was coming behind Bitcoin.
So was it like pre-November 5th and then post-November 5th? Do we see November 5th as a major moment and like all of a sudden we realize, wow, he not only got elected, he got ushered in by big numbers. I mean, it wasn't close. So that kind of was a referendum in a sense to society where everyone was going, damn. And then as a result of that, boom, markets get affected that quick. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I think because, Trump is obviously pro crypto, and just with just us knowing that he was going to get elected, we got a rally that lasted 3 or 4 weeks, and prior to that, the market was kind of trading range and standstill. So it was really nice to see, but we haven't really got much momentum from when he now that he's actually in office. We haven't really got much word, any words from him about crypto until Sunday, March 2nd, when he named the reserve, and it really pumped things up.
Pump up the volume, Mr. Trump. But the thing is, if we move in a sense chronologically, it would be awesome to talk about the chronological effect of the presence of Donald Trump first being elected all the way through this last thing that happened on the 2nd, which was a big blast, because there was a few weeks where it was kind of down. I mean, it's been very topsy-turvy, but then what he's done in terms of policies, I mean, he didn't show up to the party mild-mannered. Let's put it that way. I mean, every single aspect of everything, he's coming in with dynamite. So, but anyway, let's just go in a chronological. So, like, say the markets were kind of doing what they were doing, and he showed up, and you would say on November 5th. Is that right? We all agree that November 5th was a big moment, a big shift moment?
So I wanted to touch base on what you had brought up, which was we're talking about how Trump pumped the markets, right? But if you go if you go to the charts, one thing that I'm learning and getting really good at is the charts will tell you the news. So actually going back into October of 2024, we see this uptrend. And then chronologically, we jump into the next month, November. We've got Trump winning the election. We're seeing the correlation
in the matchup of trend in an upward trajectory. And then moving forward after this election, now we can start talking about what you brought up. Trump showed up with his sleeves rolled up, and I'm super grateful because he's actually being a man of his word, not just being a typical president that tells us what we want to hear. And then by the time they get into office, they're not following through.
Yeah, they forget about us once they get voted in. It's a big problem in our country, but I think that's true all over the world. It's not just specific to America. Politicians basically tell you what they want to hear. I love you touched on that. They tell us what they want to hear. They get all excited. They get everyone pumped up. They get in the office. They do whatever they want to do. They go golfing. They go to the beach. They do whatever. They don't really kick ass. I mean, this guy's been working hard. A lot of people might question the intensity that he showed up. I mean, he's just came in hot, but you know what? He is definitely a man of action. So it's whether or not you agree with that action is a whole different topic, but I think we can all agree, he works hard. And so
He does.
let me ask this. So there was a shift as we hit November 5th, where if we look at it from a pure crypto, I mean, I think the whole reason people get involved with crypto is because they want to make money. Do we all agree on that?
Right.
Okay.
Correct.
So let's just ask this. Like, the market was kind of what it was, which was pretty stagnant. And then there's this big shot in the arm, right? And it's just a Trump adrenaline shot. And but let me ask you this: we're not trying to be too personal about your bank accounts, okay? I'm not trying to be that guy, but just curious in a general way, did you guys make money? Based on that upsurge, was it something I went, wow, man, or a lot of times I feel like we play catch up, like we're chasing it, which is a big thing we want to talk about how to reinvent that on some level and, figure out how to make money at this, because at the core, I think that's what it's about. But the question is how? So with that one, were we playing catch up or were we actually making money?
Well, you could be making money, but it depends how you manage it.
Yeah.
Did you sell it? Did you sell some of it? Did you take profits? And I think that's the whole thing with crypto. I think we all manage differently, and the reason we got involved are we holding it long term and taking the dips, the ups, the good, the bad. If you obviously would have known, it escalated and you sold and then knew it was going to dip and bought back in. I mean, to me, that would be the smartest way, but there's a lot of people trade where they take profits, build their portfolio. So it's kind of a tough question. I mean, me personally, yeah, I did get the uptick, but I kind of held on. And then, and I told myself, I'm going to sell everything, but it's just not that easy when you're in the moment, because we don't know what it's going to do.
Yeah, and because we don't know what it's going to do, is that magic or that, that tension that comes with what makes it exciting. It's kind of a gambling. I mean, on some level, crypto is going to the horse track. On some level. You do your research about the horses, you research the jockeys, you research different things that make you, like maybe you look at the forum and you're like, oh, I don't know, I just feel this name.
Yeah.
I don't know. But,
intuition is big for me.
Yeah, intuition. But then there's data. There's different ways. Like I myself, when I go to the horse track, this is kind of a little bit off the wall. I go to the paddock and watch them when they introduce the horses and the riders. And I watch to see the horse that takes the biggest shit. Okay? Because growing up, running on track teams, I know when I ran my fastest is when I was kind of had all this tension in me, and all of a sudden before the race, I'd be like, oh my God, I got to take a big shit. Okay, so then I would take a big shit and I got all light and I just ran with all that shit out of me. So I'm just saying it's like flipping over to crypto. Okay, flipping over to crypto. Who took the biggest shit, mister? Okay, I'm just saying Trump came in and just blasted a big load all over, just boom. And then the markets went boom, but then it comes down to your personal strategy. Everyone has a different personal strategy. And I think one of the best things about our show, Crypto Posse, is that we'll be able to discuss different strategies because not one is right, not one is wrong. There isn't really a right or wrong, but what's right is who's kicking it and making the cashish. And I mean, that's what it always comes down to me, is on that level kind of is like, so I'm always like, well, you know, I don't know what's essential, what's really essential, right? So like in the last, what is it? The last 6 weeks since November 5th or whatever it is now. Oh shit, more than that. Oh, that's like 2 months, and that's shit. That's quite a while. Couple months over. It's been an interesting time. Let's move past November 5th and try to chronologically give a little outline of what's the last couple months been like. You know, just
I do want to unpack some. You said a lot of gems right there.
Thank you.
And I do want to really connect with the audience and to give the feedback, because you brought up a very valid point. You might be saying, "Oh, I took a shit before I ran and I felt really good," but you can actually apply that to the crypto market. So when we're seeing these pullbacks and you see a crypto that takes the biggest shit, well, upon that recovery, whatever recovers during those shitty moments, those are the ones that you really want to pay attention to.
Nice.
But I do want to touch on
That's
strategy.
nice. That's a gem right there. Talking to gems, that's a gem. Okay.
And
Ladies and gentlemen, there's gems dropping on Crypto Posse inaugural episode. Pay attention.
all day, every day.
Awesome stuff, man.
But strategy, right? As an investor, we should be asking this question before we even put any dollars into, call it Bitcoin, right? If you don't have an exit strategy, touching on what Jeff brought up, that's going to happen to you. You're going to end up round tripping, meaning you bought Bitcoin at $80,000 and you didn't take profit, and Bitcoin comes back to $80,000 and you didn't take profit, well, then you didn't have a strategy. Because before you even put a dollar into any of these markets, you should have an exit strategy. You should know, regardless of what the market does, regardless of what Trump says or what he doesn't say, right? You should always have an exit strategy. You should know when you want to pull profits. And if it goes up past that, we can touch on the finer intricacies of a strategy. But just to have the basics, you want to know when you want to pull profits, because if not, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. But thank God
and sticking to that plan.
Exactly. But you do have us to tune in to ask questions, to interact with when it comes to these markets. That's what I'm here for.
You know, because what we're going to do as we move forward with Crypto Posse is we're going to encourage the audience to send us in comments, questions, possible at some point we'll take calls, you know, call in, you know, like you do on radio, you call in and ask a question. We'll get back to you and we'll make it interactive, right? So, but what we do want to say too, and I want to say very clearly, is we're not really here giving advice on what you're going to buy, or we're not going to try to take responsibility for the moves you make. That's on you, okay? But what we will do is just talk all things crypto. And if you find it valuable and you want to comment, well, bring it. But anyway, back to kind of going in a chronological way. November 5th was a moment. That was like a moment, a shift. All right. What was the next one?
I would say, following an order, it would be the inauguration, right? Which is January 20th. And when you look at the chart, again, the chart's going to tell you the news, what happened on that day, right? And please use the comment section below, because I do want to hear your opinions and your feedback on what you're seeing as well. But what I'm seeing is I see an all-time high on the same day Trump enters the Oval Office, right? So that's really where it really gets interesting, because we can bring up things like DeepSeek or the tariffs, all these, what I perceive as tools that the market maker utilizes, just like a tweet, to pump the market or to pull the market back. But it's all about perspective.
I mean, I keep hearing you guys talk about DeepSeek, but let's dive into that a little bit. So we dove into November 5th. Let's dive in next to DeepSeek and then moving forward.
Right. So now that Trump is in office and moving forward to DeepSeek, what DeepSeek is it's an AI a model AI, right? And it's coming from a different country, right? And this country is able to utilize AI, basically offering something that's just as fast but cheaper for public to use. And what that did is it caused a lot of what we call FUD, which enter fear, uncertainty, and doubt within the market, because now you're talking about another juggernaut country that's offering a very similar service as far as AI.
Is that a particular country?
Yeah, so it was China that released this. And see what's interesting and the perspective that I would love to consistently provide, not just to my friends here on the call, but to the whole audience, is I want to add clarity, right? Because it's all about perspective, right? And you can even touch on that, generally speaking, within life. But perspective to me is DeepSeek comes out. A lot of people are reacting off of fear. But then if you were to tune in and ask me or comment below, hey, what's your opinion about this DeepSeek? I'm going to tell you it's an opportunity, right? Market pulls back and you've got money on the sidelines to deploy. Doesn't it seem like a perfect opportunity to utilize news, right, or DeepSeek as an opportunity to dollar cost average into your position? That's my perspective. What do you?
There's something to be said for this discussion that happens a lot when I talk to you guys, is that there's like, if you had reserves sitting aside, you know, like, okay, you know, things took a tumble and that's a good thing, or it can be a good thing depending on how your strategy is. So if you had a certain, so is it a little bit of like, is it always a good thing to have, you know, kind of money set aside waiting for those times? So like, say if you had 100 grand, okay, and percentage wise, if you were going to be like, I will always keep, hypothetical, you guys help me out with this. And I want to ask all of you this question, okay? How much would you keep set aside if you had 100 grand that you wanted to go play ball? Would you keep 25 grand, 50 grand, 10 grand aside for those moments that Will just talked about?
Well, it depends on the market dynamics, I think. You know, I mean, you want to have, I would say you want to have maybe 40%, maybe 50% in the market if it's looking good, and have money reserved if there's dips. I mean, you always want to buy the dips. You know, Warren Buffett always said he always made money in the bad times. He never made it in the good times, you know. So when everybody's selling, you want to be buying.
Yes, if you want to be on the other side of that.
You want
Yeah,
to be on
really
the other
good
side
point.
of it. But you know, the crypto market is so volatile that it's a fine line with, you know, thinking you found the bottom or finding that entry point and having the right amount of money in the market. So it's such a juggling act that
It's a juggling act. Yeah, it's funny that you
interesting.
mentioned that, because when I talk to you guys, Will just disappeared into Tuolumne Meadows, by the way. He's taking a little hike, okay? He's back. He took a hike. He's back. Okay, so, no, but what I'm saying is that thing of like the bottom. It's this mystical like thing that we're all seeking, like, is this the bottom? And we never know. Like if we had a crystal ball, we'd know we'd all be freaking billionaires, but we don't. So in a sense, like this collective, in fact, the reason, I mean, you guys know why I wanted to form this show was because I knew of all of you guys separately trading, and I would hear in your mind the different things. You'd be stuck in your head thinking, you know, with Mike, it'd be, well, I coulda, woulda, shoulda, and I'd be going crazy going, dude, you're driving me crazy. I don't want to hear about coulda, woulda, shoulda. And
well,
then,
yeah, it's easy to look back in hindsight and go, shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know. But
yeah, and that frustrates me. It drives me crazy. Makes me want to shoot people. But the thing is then like with Jeff, I would see where you would second guess yourself a lot, and I would think, God, he's doing so well, but his own inner self confidence. I think you would be in your head a lot, as I know you. So I thought, what if we put a group together and you'd be able to bounce ideas back and forth? And then it was like, well, how cool would that be to tape that? I mean, this show came about totally organically, just from wanting to have a talk to help me figure out more about crypto, which I know very little about compared to you guys. And then be able to bring my technology together to be able to like have a talk. And then all of a sudden I'm like, we're having a talk and I'm like, well, why don't we make a show out of that? That's how organic Crypto Posse is. We bring in Will because Will is such a unique character with such amazing outlooks, such much a more esoteric look at things. And it just rounds out the crew. I mean, just really stoked on, inaugural episode of Crypto Posse. I think we're going to do a lot of really awesome things, and some of which is right now talking about that bottom, like, and then how much, like, say for instance, Jeff, what would you think number wise if you had 100 grand that, my mythical 100 grand that I just gave you guys, what would you do with it today?
Well, today would probably be a good time to get into some stuff for sure. But I would probably be about the 50% range because, you can DCA or dollar cost average if it went down. Me personally, if the market looked like it was just moving up, I'd probably buy a little dip into the green and put, 25, maybe 50%. Like if I was going to just scalp it and take however you want to manage it after that point, take profits. If it went up 40, 50, 60%, me personally, I'll probably sell it all and take everything and then maybe find the next one. But it's just like, Mike was saying, the market's so forever changing every minute, hour. But, and then if you're, like if you were to, let's say, leverage, you're going to want a, 50% range to have the reserves to, if it went upside down on you.
You and Mike seem to agree somewhere in the 50%-ish range. If I gave you 100 grand, you'd invest 50. I'm not asking you exactly what you'd invest in. That's not really what we're doing here. That's not what we're doing here. Okay, this isn't a guide that people should listen to us and go out and spend money because, that's a no. Okay, but the truth is what we are trying to do here is just have good discussion that's healthy for us to kind of get the cobwebs out. And then hopefully there's tangible value for others. We hope there is. And if there is, send us some comments. Anyway, so Will, if I was to, the mystical 100 grand that I just gave, so I just gave you, 300 grand. Good Lord.
300 grand.
Okay, God damn it. Okay, so then what would you do with it?
Today, I get 100 grand. I'm not buying anything. I only buy red candles, right? I buy the fear. And then when I see the euphoria or the greed in the market, that's when I'm pulling profits. If you go against the grain and you buy fear and you sell greed, you'll be a profitable trader all day long, a profitable investor.
Really a very unique angle. I love the way you describe things. You bring so much to the show just because your life, we've talked about it before. You have this kind of quality of esoteric, cosmic truth quality. I really, really like how you explain things. And I think we all bring our own essence, our own qualities into the show. But I really like it when you go off on those rants. I think it's something special.
And he likes the trade to come to him as well. He patiently waits.
Yeah.
And that's a good point. I'm a little impatient. I want to make money every day or do my best. Some days, of course, just I still look, but I know to stay away. But it's we all have different qualities of patience, and he's really good at that.
Well,
patiently waiting.
Patiently waiting comes from, that's a wise energy. Okay, that's something that just, I don't think it's natural. I think you develop that.
Yeah.
I had to in my life develop. I was born an impatient child. High energy, patience was always a challenge for me, but I believe I've done well in trying to establish some. It wasn't my nature. I think other people might be naturally more patient and then might need a little kick in the ass sometimes. Not saying that's Will, but I'm just saying we all have different kind of, ways our personality is, right? And I think when it comes to investing, it's just like surfing. It comes from your personality. Like you see the person's personality, the way they ride a wave. Like you see the person's personality, how they approach investing in crypto or anything else, or just how they approach life. It's basically the same mirror. You're seeing the same qualities that they bring to their relationships or their workplace or their hobbies or their investing or their relationship with a higher power, whatever it is. It all seems to be relative. So with that said, I mean, let's continue moving forward to the chronological aspect of how we got to today in the last few weeks. You know, what was next after DeepSeek, Jeff?
Well, we had there's the Bybit hack, and then
The what? The what?
Bybit hack.
Bybit hack.
Yes.
What the hell is a Bybit hack?
That's such a good point.
You can't just
Go
say
ahead,
that. You can't just say
Oh,
that.
well.
You gotta
Well,
you gotta bring me in a little bit, mister. And I'm figuring I'm like a lot of the audience. You know, I represent the everyday man because I bring to this more the production side and less the crypto wizardry. So I just want to say, I know you guys wouldn't claim crypto wizardry, but next to me, you know, woo. Okay, so what is that Bybit hack? What does that mean?
Well, the Bybit hack exchange basically got hacked, and I believe 1.4, 1.5 billion. Will, is that correct?
So that's another interesting fact is what the news released
Correct.
was different from what I'm providing friends and audience, which is the truth. It's not Will's truth. It's not just my perspective. I like to operate off of probabilities and data, right? As a technical analyst, that's what we do. So I don't have a lot of emotions. And to your point, patience, I want to touch on that real quick. One, I wasn't born patient, but two, we can talk about money all day. We talk about markets all day, what Trump is doing. But the one thing that I've taken from investing is emotional intelligence or emotional maturity, right? So it's not so much how much money I make or lost or whatever that storyline is going to be. It's more just like the surfing. It's who you become along that journey of investing. Because if you don't learn patience, you're going to be giving your money to the patient people. Practice,
That's so awesome, dude. I can't get enough of this guy. I swear, it's amazing. I love the stuff. I love the stuff you say. I mean, honest to God, it really hits me. It really does. It's funny you said you're not born a patient person too, because you know you relate to that. You know, it's like we're high energy people, and it can be hard sometimes to figure out how to settle yourself down and really look at the deep truth of what's going on. So I really like what you said about what you are as a person, because at the end of the day, that's what the world is shaped by, individuals and how they approach life. And so this isn't just about greed and money and me. It's also about the collective environment. Like crypto, I think part of the beauty of crypto is it can independently assist people's potential to gain wealth, but also have independent, they don't have an employer. They can work independently. Of course, they have to be all these things to pull it off. But I just think that, you know, at the end of the day, say for instance with you, Mike, I mean, it's a good thing, like to be able to go, well, let me look out there at the opportunities in this world. But let me just think, well, wait a second. You know, I could take responsibility and get involved with trading crypto and see what that could do for me. But we know that journey can be tough sometimes. It's not just some perfect, you know, thing. It's a mirror to yourself. And then of course it's an awareness of the market. So my question to you, Mike, would be, how have you seen this affect your personal relationship with yourself? You know what I mean? Like crypto can put us through a lot. So you look back a lot of times and go, oh, what if, coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? But if we've talked about that quite a bit over the years, right? Like there's been times, just for the audience, there's been times when Mike and I were out in the water, he's paddling up to me saying, you know, oh, if we would have bought this then, and I'd be like, dude, oh my God.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have sold my Nvidia, and if I would have kept my Netflix, you've heard them all, you know.
I've heard them all, yeah.
I was day trading Netflix at $3 a share.
Oh,
you know, I had about 20 grand in the market. It was like 2005, and if I would have just bought the Netflix, I thought it was a great thing. All the blockbusters were going out of business. So I kicked myself in the butt because I'd have like 4.6 million off 20 grand. But
Oh my
so
God.
I have some of those
Some pain in
stories that
there.
you've
Yeah.
heard. Yeah.
I have, yeah. And
But
so it's
it's,
about the journey of how do we go from being that to starting to feel grounded about the way we're trading. And we're going to take some losses, we're going to take some wins and losses, but at the end of the day, it's kind of what Will is saying. It's like, what does it do for us to help us evolve as a human to get to that place where we're kind of at peace? Well, I think part of it is the method. So when we discuss different methods, you know, Will in his program has a lot to do with AI and all this different stuff to, you know, you guys have talked about leveraging. There's all the stop thing, you know, what was it? The
Stop loss.
stops.
stop losses. I mean, these are all really awesome strategies to maybe help, say, for instance, a guy like you will help everyone for one, not just Mike. I'm not trying to single you out, but I'm
Yeah.
saying like you yourself, if you were to be able to really grasp some of these strategies, possibly it would help you be more grounded and make, you know, decisions that weren't so if I woulda, coulda, shoulda, which is initially as a friend, I just want to help you be stoked, you know, and
Yeah, no, you know, I've only really been in the market for, 4 or 5 months trying to learn, and, talking with Jeff and talking with Josh initially and trying to gain a little wisdom, but, what I've learned over that time is something that we touched on about patience. I always, when I'm going to sell, I always sell too early. And when I'm looking for the bottom, I don't wait long enough for the bottom, I'm I'm impulsive. So I think what I've learned most is that I just gotta, and I tell myself this every time I'm in a position to buy and I have money on the sidelines and there's something that I like and I don't wait. I've made the same mistake probably 5 or 6 times. So if I could have any take out of what I've learned is what Will touched on is just being patient and waiting for that entry point, waiting for that bottom, and I think he's exactly right that when everybody else is selling and there's fear in the market, that's when you have to grab your cojones and buy in, I mean, if you would have bought in at any of those bottoms, big, huge bottoms in the stock market, and then held after that, you would have done well. And I think it's the same with crypto.
I really like what you just said, and it's good to hear you. You know, this is kind of what comes together just from the organic side of bringing together the crypto posse is that we could all share ideas and have a forum for idea sharing, and as a result, grow both as people, but hopefully do better as traders. You know, and like if
Yeah,
we gain patience in this life through the journey of which is potentially a very, I think crypto investing could potentially be a very anxiety ridden journey.
for sure. It's been a rough ride the last few days. It really has. I mean, with Trump coming out and giving the news on the reserve, we saw a huge bump, and then basically have retraced all the way back on these things. I mean, there's a few coins that have held on a little bit of the profits. I mean, a little bit of the upside.
Well,
Uh,
Cardano went 72% and most of it's gone. I mean, I was with Will last night. I think Will was still up about 22 last night, but I think it was on a little uptick today, this morning. But yeah, it's retraced pretty much back.
it was exactly to the dollar on XRP. It was interesting because I was trying to buy in at 221 and I missed the trade, and then I went to the bathroom and came back and it was at 248, and I was scrambling, and I knew that 250 was a resistance level, and once it pushed past that, I couldn't even catch it. It just ran all the way to $3, and then overnight it it's basically it went back to 221, the low, early this morning, and now
In hindsight, which we hate, is there was some money to be made, but we're never going to know. We don't have a crystal ball. So on one level, we can learn everything we can learn, but there's still that excitement of risk. I mean, I think if you don't have excitement for risk, if you don't have excitement for risk, then just go get a job. They'll give you an hourly wage and you'll be told what you're going to get at the end of the day. And you're just one of those guys, which is cool. No disrespect. We need a lot of those guys in this, we need people working. But for the people that are investing, whether it be stocks, whether it be businesses, whether it be entrepreneurs, I don't care if it's Shark Tank, okay, they're taking a risk, right? You got to have those cojones, as Will was referring to earlier, to be able to really, sack up and just go, well, let's take a ride. But the more we can learn, the more patient, but then the more jumpy too, because there's got to be moments where all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I was super patient, but oh, hell no, boom, pull me out, boom, buy me in, whatever it is, those moments where you really feel solid and strong just to sack up, right? The more information, the better, whether it come through AI or graphs or whatever it is, to be able to get to that place where we can not only make money, but enjoy the process as much as we know it's always going to have some, it's going to be an exciting run. It's not a job with a guaranteed income.
And try to be comfortable too, because for traders that are new, it's so easy to say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Well, when you put your money in there, see how you react.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same. And if you're used to trading and maybe you put in a lot more than your usual, your reaction is still going to be, for most people, a little different. And I also think, depending on what coin or crypto you're buying, it can trade a little different. Like, if you're going, Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, they're slower moving, opposed to like a meme coin that could just, like Mike said, you go to the bathroom, it shoots up, and it just reacts different because they just go up in price in no time. So I kind of, when I'm trading, it depends on what I'm into, kind of how I trade it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Yeah. The whole thing is about what you're trading, right? But then how you're trading, what you're trading, the amounts you're doing it with, whether you have
Tons of variables.
Tons of variables, right? And I think one of the beauty of what I fathom about our show, Crypto Posse, is that I think there's millions of people out there who aren't that smart about crypto, that hear about it, that don't know much about it, that probably would be intimidated to listen to some crypto gurus, that are just so teched out that they'd be lost. It wouldn't be in layman terms. It wouldn't have a humane quality. It certainly would have an esoteric quality, and it just would be kind of leaving them in the dust. So as a result, there's hard for them to connect. Whereas I hope what we're doing is making the everyman, the layman, feel comfortable to go, there's a show called Crypto Posse where it's just not intimidating. It's a cool vibe. Like,
and relatable.
It's relatable. Exactly. Great point. It's relatable, and you feel drawn to it magnetically because no one's an arrogant, wizard. Everyone's just really humble and cool, sharing ideas. And then we're sharing ideas of others. So people comment or call in or however they reach us, come knock on the door. No, I won't answer. But anyway, the point is it's kind of a village of ideas is what I feel like what we can provide with Crypto Posse is to create a kind of a consortium in a sense of where we can share our ideas with others and others can share ideas with us. But it's really about us because we're the ones on the show. But hey, comments or whatever. So here we are now, moving forward. And the latest thing, I will ask you, Jeff, what's the latest thing that happened? Was it like a couple days ago?
Well, the latest would be the
Trump, with
tweet.
Trump,
Yeah, it would be the tweets.
Oh yeah.
On Cardano, Solana.
So what did he do, and what happened?
Basically, he tweeted a few coins, Cardano, Solana, XRP, would be used for the reserves for the United States. So that is what Sunday morning, blew the market up in a good way, raised the roof.
Later, did he also he came out and he said that he loved Bitcoin and Ethereum because he kind of left them off the list?
Yeah, when I read it, it was just the three, and then I kind of added in Ethereum and Bitcoin, which would be basically the top five. So yeah, that came out later.
He came out and said he loved them.
because
and he
well,
expressed
he had left it out.
and he came in. He's such a character. You know, he's just
But ADA or Cardano, that's it did the best. It's 72%
in how long?
for the day.
One
For
day
the
it went up
day.
72%.
Yeah, correct.
Wow.
I think it had
So,
been beaten up a little bit prior too. So I think it
yeah.
Yeah,
recovered
it
a
had the
little
most
more.
to gain.
So let
Yeah.
me ask you
Yeah.
this. If on that one day in the morning with this 100 grand that I, supposedly gave you, if you put it all that day early on Cardano, and then by the end of the day, you would have 172 grand?
In a
Yeah.
perfect, yeah.
Damn.
And a perfect, here comes Will, and a perfect entry and a perfect exit. Yes. And me personally, the way the market's going, if I did get a good buy-in or anything close, I would have pulled it the 24-hour period. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it shut down a little early. I think that high was prior to 1 o'clock. I don't think it. I think it dipped and it did not regain the 72% or call it 70. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. Typically, it'll do 30 or 40%. 11 o'clock, and then we get to 11 to 1 o'clock dip. Might go down 8-10%, and then later from 3 to 5, it'll go back higher. But I don't think it did that. I'd have to look at the chart. I'm not sure if you know that, Will, or watch that.
I watch the markets every single day. It's a passion of mine. It's not something I have to force. But I want to touch on something you brought up earlier, Joseph, about fear. Have you guys heard this saying, scared money doesn't make money?
I have not myself.
I've learned from successful people, if your money's scared, Bitcoin's at 16K, everyone's talking about all this fear, the likelihood of you actually hitting the buy button, probability is very low. And to your example of, you put 100 grand on Cardano yesterday, and then in a perfect world, based upon numbers, yeah, you put in 100 grand, and that 100 grand turned into about a little over 170 grand. But here's the caveat: using your emotions, are you actually going to hit the sell button? Because I've been in this position in the same computer chair that I'm sitting in right now, and I brought up a point earlier, which was there's a time to plant, which is there's a time to buy, and there's a time to harvest what you planted. That works the same in the investment world. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, as far as financial advice, none of it's happening here. And working through scared money doesn't make money, and then bringing you up to your point about investing 100,000 and turning it into 170, you're always in this position, at least I have, and I'd like to hear feedback from you guys. When you're in that chair and you're seeing these numbers, are you going to sell, or are you going to play this what if game? What if it goes higher? And then you go back to strategy, right? Well, the strategy should have been you entered like I did days before, and like Joseph had mentioned, and we'll get into that maybe in later episodes, or if people want to reach out comment section, ask questions about AI and how I'm utilizing it, super open to that. But as far as technically speaking, I bought XRP at a technical level. So I bought it on this recent dip. My buy-in was at $2.01. I bought in. Why? There was a bunch of fear, but technically speaking, all XRP was doing was retesting the 2021 high. And typically what you'll see is if you see a resistance level and you can see price just constantly hitting that ceiling, well, the moment that it breaks through that ceiling, typically you'll get what we call a retest. It's going to retest that ceiling, and the chart is going to tell you whether or not that ceiling is now turned into a support zone. So now that I see this support zone, I bought, but just being transparent, because it was a leverage trade, I do that as well, not just spot trading. But I sold too early, right? But did I really? So I sell a small percent, price goes up higher. I still have skin in the game, so I'm not trying to chase the train that already left the station. So it really comes back to something that we've all been touching on, and something that I pick up highly from Mike, not just patience, but strategy. If we were talking about this prior to that move happening, you could have managed your emotions. You could have pulled money off the table. And now you, instead of sitting and seeing on the chart a pump and dump, you would have profited from the opportunity, which goes back to mindset. You're either one of two things. You're either living life in lack or you're living life abundantly. So if I miss a trade or I miss an entry, it doesn't matter to me because I'm so abundant within my mindset. There's always going to be the next trade.
It's just like surfing. It's just like surfing. Like, why get upset about missing a wave? Because there's another one coming. You see these guys fight over a wave. Like, one guy took the wave, the other guy tried to take the wave. Ooh, that's my wave. And they're like over here on the side fighting. Meanwhile, there's like 8 waves that came. And they're just going, bro, you guys missed the point. The beauty of surfing is that we don't own the waves. We're just getting a gift.
Right.
A gift of waves coming at us. So if we keep the right mindset, how could I fight over a wave that happened already when there's more coming? Similar to like crypto, it's like the universality of all things in life really comes together. I want to say, as we were kind of, going to wrap this up for today, where do we see, and I'll just ask each one of you and then, we'll be out, is where do we see moving forward? Any, not predictions, but what you're feeling, Jeff, as we've covered kind of how we got from November 5th to today. What do you feel like, not projections, just what you're feeling about the market?
It's every hour, every couple hours for me right now because you just don't know if it's the bottom. I mean, I got up early this morning, wasn't doing anything. Then there was, signs of decline. And then, I go make breakfast. 20 minutes later, it's coming back up a little bit. So we're kind of in this weird spot. What I have, I was with Will last night, probably one of the first times I bought a bunch more of everything that I had. And I typically almost wait to see a little bit of green to like momentum, and I'll pick one to try to repair my wallet or DCA, dollar cost average. But I bought a few things last night because I felt it was towards the bottom. So yeah, it's kind of a tough time. I mean, I kind of think things should go up, but I just it's really hard to tell for me.
Well, I was hoping we were going to get a little momentum from the tweets from Trump about the reserves, and I thought maybe the rally would last a couple days, or 2-3 days and get some. I actually bought some positions on the way down, thinking that it's gonna pump again the next day, and ended up selling because it didn't do that. So I'm a bit apprehensive because 1 minute Bitcoin's at 85, next minute's at 81. We just came, I think it touched right around, what did it go up to, about 95 on this last?
Yeah, and it was 84.6 this morning.
I think it went to 95 when Trump's little pump.
Yeah, it did.
So I feel I'm a bit apprehensive. I think the market may go lower, but that's just my overall feeling.
That's your intuition. Okay. And Will, what about you?
In the present moment, what I'm currently doing, and again, this isn't financial advice, I'm just being patient. Sometimes the best thing to do is nothing. Go ground, go to the beach, enjoy your friends, go touch some grass, right? But if you have money on the sideline and you want a DCA like Jeff was mentioning, it's a good opportunity to start doing that. But to kind of recap on that 100K example that you gave us, this is what I would do. I would slowly, on red days, when there's a lot of fear, I would slowly start to deploy that money incrementally percentage wise. Maybe buy 25% on this dip. Let the market do its thing. Just like Joseph was talking about with waves, the waves are gifts. Volatility, although some people might see it as a negative thing, it's a gift. Going back to perspective, going back to the abundant mindset. So deploy the capital slowly, but moving forward, I'm looking at the chart right now. I mean, just technically speaking, and we can get into it further, I'm seeing lower highs and lower lows. What that means to anybody new tuning in today, that's called a downtrend, right? So my expectation or what my plans are is, again, red days, buy, green days, be patient, because we don't know what the market's going to do. Even though I can read a chart, doesn't mean that I'm a crystal ball.
I always bring up the crystal ball thing. So many aspects of life, people ask me these questions like, I don't have a crystal ball, but I have some data and I have some instinct and I have, a lot to try to push forward some narrative of that I think I might have some idea, which at the end of the day, being truly humble, I would say I probably don't about any category, but I'm just really stoked to talk to you guys today. I think it's just, really been of essential value to me. I think if I can always create an episode where I feel that there's been value to me, I'm pretty sure there'd be value to everybody, not just us, but other people. So just really want to thank you guys for showing up today. Now, I know you guys, like Jeff, I know you like to do the pump track, and Will, I know you like to do, climb mountains, and I know, and many things. Guys like to, Mike, I know you like to surf. Get out there in it, go enjoy life, but then come back and trade and let me know how it goes, and we'll get together on the next episode ASAP, and we'll keep it going forward. Thanks for showing up today, guys.